roadside stop on Interstate 395 quickly spirals into a tense encounter when an officer pulls over a black luxury SUV and begins pressing the driver with questions that don't match the situation. What starts as a supposed minor violation immediately feels off. No clear explanation, no routine procedure, just a shift in tone that turns the stop into something more confrontational than necessary. Body cam and dash footage would later show the officer pacing along the shoulder, cutting the driver off mid-sentence, his voice already raised within seconds of the initial contact. Traffic continues rushing past, loud and constant, but the tension between both men is what stands out. The driver remains composed, the officer does not. If you believe situations like this deserve accountability, make sure you subscribe and follow, because what happens next only gets worse. Behind the wheel is Andre Whitfield, 42, a seasoned law enforcement officer with over 15 years of experience, recently appointed as a district police captain. At this moment, though, none of that is visible. He's just another driver being pulled over, hands steady on the wheel, window down, waiting. The officer approaching the vehicle, Derek Halverson, doesn't ease into the interaction. He steps up quickly, posture stiff, one hand resting near his belt. "License and registration," Halverson says, not greeting, not explaining. Andre nods, already reaching. "Of course. Can you tell me why I'm being stopped?" Halverson doesn't answer immediately. He watches him instead, eyes scanning the interior, then the dashboard, then back to Andre. "You were moving a little suspicious back there," he says finally. Andre pauses slightly, then hands over his documents. "I was maintaining my lane. If there's a specific issue, I'd like to understand it." That response shifts the tone. Halverson exhales sharply, like he's been challenged. "Just answer what I ask you. Don't start that." Andre keeps his voice level. "I'm cooperating. I just asked a question." Halverson leans in closer to the window now, his presence more intrusive. "Step out of the vehicle." Andre doesn't move immediately. "Is there a reason you need me to step out?" That's where the patience disappears. "I said step out," Halverson repeats, louder this time. "Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be." Cars pass by, some slowing slightly. The moment stretches. Andre opens the door slowly and steps out, keeping his hands visible. Halverson takes a step closer, closing the gap more than necessary. "You think because you're driving this kind of car you don't have to listen?" he says, voice low but sharp. "Turn around." Andre looks at him, controlled but firm. "I am listening, but I have the right to know what this is about." Halverson's jaw tightens. His hand shifts closer to his holster. "Turn around," he repeats. Andre doesn't argue further. He turns slowly, placing his hands where they can be seen, facing the side of the SUV as traffic continues moving past on Interstate 395. The sound of cars rushing by fills the gap between them. Halverson steps in close, too close, grabbing Andre's wrist and pulling it slightly higher than necessary. "Spread your feet." Andre adjusts his stance without resisting. "Officer, I'm not a threat." Halverson ignores that completely. His hands move quickly, patting down Andre's sides, more forceful than required, lingering longer than needed. "We'll decide that," Halverson mutters. Andre keeps his voice steady. "I haven't done anything wrong." Halverson steps back just enough to look him over again, eyes narrowing. "Yeah, then why you so tense?" Andre exhales slowly. "Because this stop doesn't make sense." That answer sets him off. "There you go again," Halverson snaps, stepping forward. "You people always got something to say instead of just complying." There's a brief pause. The statement hangs in the air, clear enough. Andre turns his head slightly, not fully facing him. "I am complying." Halverson circles him now, pacing behind him like he's trying to find something that isn't there. "Doesn't look like it," he says. "Driving a vehicle like this, acting like you got somewhere important to be?" Andre cuts in, still controlled. "I do, but I pulled over. I handed you my information. I stepped out when you asked." Halverson steps in front of him again, closer this time, forcing eye contact. "Yeah, but you got an attitude," he says. "That's the problem." Andre doesn't respond immediately. He just looks at him, calm, measured. From the distance, a second set of sirens starts to build, faint at first. Halverson hears it too, but doesn't turn. "Stay right there," he says, before walking back toward the Lamborghini. Andre watches as Halverson moves around the vehicle slowly, scanning it like he's searching for something to justify what's already happening. He runs his hand along the side panel, then toward the rear, eyes fixed. Andre speaks up, firm but not raised. "I do not consent to any searches." Halverson doesn't respond. He keeps walking. The sirens get louder now. A patrol car pulls in behind Halverson's unit, lights flashing. Dust shifts slightly along the shoulder as it comes to a stop. Backup. Officer Logan Fisk steps out, glancing briefly at Andre before walking toward Halverson. "What's going on?" Fisk asks. Halverson doesn't lower his voice. "Guy's acting suspicious, not answering simple questions. I'm figuring out what he's hiding." Andre turns slightly. "That's not accurate." Halverson points at him immediately. "Don't speak unless I tell you to." Fisk looks between both of them, then at the vehicle. Andre keeps his composure. "I am complying with everything being asked." Halverson hakes his head again. "Yeah, we'll see." He turns back toward the rear of the SUV, eyes fixed on it. Andre watches him closely now. Something about the way Halverson is moving, slower, deliberate, doesn't sit right. The tension shifts, and then Halverson stops directly behind the vehicle. His hand lifts slightly. Halverson stands at the rear of the SUV, eyes fixed on the left taillight. For a second he just looks at it, then glances back toward Andre, who is still standing a few feet away with Logan Fisk nearby. Traffic continues rushing past on Interstate 395, loud enough to cover small sounds. Halverson lifts his baton slightly in his hand. Andre notices immediately. His tone sharpens just a bit. "Officer, don't touch my vehicle." Halverson doesn't respond. Before Fisk can say anything, Halverson swings, quick, controlled, and deliberate. Crack. The left rear light shatters. For a moment, everything freezes. Fisk's head turns sharply toward the sound. "What?" Andre steps forward instinctively. "You just broke that." Halverson turns around like it's nothing, sliding the baton back against his belt. "Vehicle's damaged. That's a violation." Andre stares at him, disbelief clear but controlled. "You caused that damage." Halverson walks toward him, closing distance again. "Turn around and put your hands behind your back." Andre doesn't raise his voice, but there's weight behind it now. "I am not resisting, but I'm stating clearly you damaged my vehicle and are using it to justify this." Halverson steps closer, jaw tight. "Last warning." Andre slowly turns again, placing his hands behind his back without sudden movement. "I am complying." Halverson grabs his wrists and pulls them tighter than necessary, starting to secure one cuff. Fisk steps in, uncertain. "You sure about this?" Halverson snaps back quietly but sharply. "You want to run the stop or you want me to?" Fisk doesn't answer. The first cuff clicks into place. Andre exhales slowly, still composed despite the situation escalating fast. "I want it on record," he says, looking slightly toward Fisk. "I did not consent to any search, and I did not damage my vehicle." Halverson tightens his grip. "Yeah, we'll sort that out." Another car passes by, slower this time. Someone inside is clearly looking. Halverson turns slightly toward the SUV again. "Search it." Andre's head turns immediately. "No, I do not consent." Halverson ignores him. Fisk hesitates for a second, then starts toward the driver's side door. Andre watches, tension building now, not from fear, but from knowing just how far this has gone. Behind them, Halverson keys his radio. "Dispatch, I'm going to need this plate and ID run." A brief pause. Then a voice comes through. Clear, controlled. Copy. Go ahead. Andre looks forward again, calm returning to his expression. Go ahead and run it, he says quietly. Fisk glances back at him. Halverson doesn't. He reads out the information. There's a short silence on the line. The word "stand by" hangs in the air for a second longer than it should. Andre stands still on the shoulder of Interstate 395, one cuff secured, the other wrist still held firmly by Derek Halverson. Traffic continues rushing past, but the focus is locked on the SUV and what's unfolding around it. Halverson doesn't wait. He releases Andre's arm just enough to turn away, eyes already back on the vehicle. "Check inside," he tells Logan Fisk. Andre speaks immediately, controlled but firm. "I do not consent to any searches." Fisk pauses at the driver's door, hand hovering near the handle. He looks back. Halverson doesn't even turn. "Open it." Andre's voice cuts in again. "There's no probable cause." Halverson spins back now, irritation clear. "You don't decide that." Fisk hesitates, just for a second, then opens the door. The interior of the Lamborghini is clean, organized, nothing out of place. Halverson walks over and leans in, scanning quickly. His movements are sharper now, less patient. He opens the center console, flips through compartments without care. Andre watches closely. "This is being recorded." Halverson scoffs. "Good." He steps back out, then moves toward the rear again. "Pop the trunk," he says. Andre doesn't respond. Halverson looks at him. "You hear me?" "I'm not assisting in an unlawful search," Andre replies. Halverson shakes his head like he expected that. "Fine." He reaches inside, hits the trunk release himself. The trunk lifts slowly. Fisk steps closer now, looking inside first. There's a brief pause, then his posture shifts slightly. "Hey, there's a folder here," Fisk says. Halverson walks over, already annoyed. "So?" Fisk doesn't touch it immediately. Looks official. Halverson grabs it without hesitation, flipping it open quickly. Inside, documents, clean, organized, not what he expected. His eyes move across the page, then stop. For the first time since the stop began, Halverson doesn't speak right away. Fisk notices. "What is it?" Halverson closes the folder halfway, like he doesn't want to react too fast. "Run it again," he says, turning slightly toward his shoulder radio. Andre watches him carefully now, expression steady. "You might want to read it properly," Andre says. Halverson ignores that, already pressing the radio. "Dispatch, confirm that name again." There's a pause. Static. Fisk looks between both men, tension shifting in a way he didn't expect. Andre stands still, cuffed, calm. Halverson's grip on the folder tightens slightly. The radio clicks. "Affirmative, stand by." No one moves. Even the traffic noise seems distant for a moment. Fisk looks at Andre again, really looks this time. Halverson doesn't. He just waits. The radio stays quiet longer than expected. Derek Halverson stands still at the rear of the SUV, the folder still in his hand, eyes fixed on it but not reading anymore. Logan Fisk shifts his weight slightly beside him, glancing between Halverson and Andre. On the shoulder of Interstate 395, everything feels paused. Then the radio clicks. "Unit, confirm. Did you say Andre Whitfield?" Halverson presses the mic immediately. "Affirmative." A brief pause follows. "Copy. Stand by." Fisk exhales quietly. What's going on? Halverson doesn't answer him. His posture stiffens, like he's trying to hold control of something that's starting to slip. Andre stands a few feet away, one cuff still on his wrist, the other hanging loose. He doesn't move. "You might want to take those off," Andre says calmly. Halverson ignores him, but his attention isn't where it was before. He opens the folder again, slower this time, scanning the contents more carefully. Inside, official credentials, clear, undeniable. Fisk leans slightly, trying to see. What is that? Halverson angles it away just enough to block him. Nothing. Andre speaks again, steady. It's not nothing. That lands. Fisk looks at Andre now, more focused. Who are you? Andre meets his eyes briefly. You'll hear it in a second. Halverson snaps the folder shut, turning back toward Andre, trying to regain control. You don't get to run this stop, not how this works. Andre doesn't raise his voice. No, but I do know how it works. That tension, different now, sits between them. The radio crackles again. Unit, confirm status. Are you with the driver now? Halverson presses the mic. Yes. Another pause. Then the tone changes. Be advised, that individual is flagged in the system. Do not proceed further without a supervisor present. Fisk's head turns immediately toward Andre. Halverson doesn't respond right away. Clarify, he says into the radio. There's a slight delay, just enough to make it worse. That's a command-level entry. Repeat, do not proceed. Supervisor en route. Silence. Fisk steps slightly back, processing it. Command level? Andre remains still, composed. Halverson lowers the radio slowly, but his jaw tightens. That doesn't change anything, he says, but it doesn't sound the same. Andre looks at him directly now. It changes everything. Fisk looks between both men again, then at the cuff still on Andre's wrist. Halverson doesn't move to remove it. Instead, he takes a step closer to Andre, voice lower now, more controlled, but still edged. You think this is over? He says. Andre holds his gaze. No, I think it's just getting started. In the distance, another set of sirens begins to approach, faster this time. Fisk hears it first. He turns his head toward the highway. Halverson doesn't, but his grip tightens slightly. The sirens grow louder, cutting through the steady rush of traffic along Interstate 395. A marked supervisor unit moves quickly through the right lane before pulling onto the shoulder behind the other patrol cars. Dust shifts. Doors open. Lieutenant Raymond Cole steps out with purpose, scanning the scene once. Andre standing cuffed, Logan Fisk off to the side, and Derek Halverson near the rear of the SUV holding a folder he no longer seems sure about. "What's going on here?" Cole asks, already walking forward. Halverson steps in first, trying to take control of the narrative. "Routine stop. Driver was acting suspicious. We detained and initiated a search." Cole cuts him off without raising his voice. "Why is he in cuffs?" Halverson hesitates, just slightly. "Obstruction. He wasn't—" "I complied with every instruction given," Andre says, calm and direct. Cole turns to look at him properly now. "Your name?" "Andre Whitfield." That's enough. Cole's expression changes, not dramatic, but immediate. Recognition. He steps closer, eyes narrowing slightly as he looks at the cuff, then back at Halverson. "You ran him?" Cole asks. Halverson nods once. "Dispatch flagged." "Take the cuff off," Cole says. There's no hesitation in his tone. Halverson doesn't move right away. Cole looks at him directly now. That wasn't a suggestion. A second passes. Then Halverson reaches forward and unlocks the cuff. It drops away from Andre's wrist. Andre lowers his hand slowly, rubbing his wrist once but saying nothing. Cole exhales through his nose, then looks toward the vehicle, the broken left rear light still clearly visible. "How did that happen?" Halverson answers quickly. "Vehicle damage. That's what led to—" Andre speaks, steady. "He caused that damage." Cole looks back at Halverson. Fisk shifts slightly, uncomfortable now. Cole's voice stays level. "Is that accurate?" Halverson shakes his head. "No, that's not what happened." Fisk hesitates, then speaks carefully. I didn't see how it happened." That's not a denial. Cole picks up on it immediately. He turns back to Andre. "Do you have identification on you?" Andre nods slightly. It's in the folder he's holding. Cole extends his hand without looking away from Halverson. After a brief pause, Halverson hands it over. Cole opens it, scans it once, then closes it again. When he looks back up, the tone is different. "Captain," he says. Silence. Fisk straightens slightly. Halverson doesn't react outwardly, but his posture tightens. Andre meets Cole's gaze. "Lieutenant." Cole nods once, then looks back at Halverson. "You initiated this stop?" "Yes." "On what basis?" Halverson opens his mouth, but nothing comes out immediately. Cole waits. Traffic continues moving. The moment stretches. Andre says nothing. Fisk looks down briefly. Cole finally speaks again, voice firm. "We're going to sort this out, right now." He gestures slightly toward the vehicles. "Everyone stays where they are." Halverson doesn't argue, but the control he had earlier is gone, completely. No one moves for a few seconds. The traffic along Interstate 395 keeps flowing, but the energy on the shoulder has completely shifted. The urgency is gone. What's left is controlled, quiet tension. Lieutenant Raymond Cole steps slightly away, speaking briefly into his radio, low voice, clear instructions. When he turns back, his attention is fixed on Derek Halverson. "Walk me through the stop," Cole says. Halverson straightens, trying to regain footing. "Vehicle was moving irregular. I initiated the stop. Driver became uncooperative. I detained and proceeded based on observed damage." Cole cuts in. "What irregular movement?" Halverson pauses. He was drifting slightly. Andre stands still, watching. He doesn't interrupt. Cole nods once, then gestures toward the rear of the SUV. "And the damage?" Halverson follows his gaze. "Broken taillight. That gave us cause." Cole looks at him directly. "Before or after you made contact?" There's a pause. Halverson doesn't answer immediately. Fisk shifts again, then finally speaks, carefully. "Sir, I arrived after. I didn't see any damage when I pulled up." That lands. Cole doesn't react right away, but his focus sharpens. He turns to Andre. "Captain Whitfield, do you want to add anything?" Andre keeps it simple. "I complied. I asked for the reason for the stop. I was removed, detained, and my vehicle was searched without consent. The damage occurred after I exited the vehicle. No extra words, no emotion, just facts." Cole nods once. He looks back at Halverson. "Step aside." Halverson hesitates, but only for a second, then moves a few steps away. Cole speaks into his radio again, this time more clearly. "I'm going to need internal affairs notified. Possible misconduct on a traffic stop." That's it. No raised voice, no scene, just procedure. Halverson looks back toward them, jaw tight, but he says nothing now. Fisk exhales quietly, stepping back fully. Cole turns to Andre again. "Captain, I apologize for how this was handled." Andre nods slightly. "I'll be following up." Cole acknowledges that. "Understood." Another unit pulls in behind them. The situation is no longer a roadside stop. It's an investigation. Andre glances once at his vehicle, at the shattered rear light, then back at Halverson, just briefly. No words exchanged. None needed. Because at this point, everything that matters has already been recorded. If you made it this far, you already see how quickly a situation like this can escalate and why accountability matters. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment where you're watching from. Stories like this don't just happen in one place, and the more people see them, the harder they are to ignore.